Good evening and welcome to the April 7th Stearns County Board of Commissioners meeting. Roll call would indicate all commissioners are present. Please rise and join me for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Freedom!
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. It's amazing what that sounds like up here when you have so many people.
Oh, she said you had to put
Any me get up in this thing? I can't pull it any closer. Okay, this is the first item. We're going to have a welcome, and then the commissioners will introduce themselves. If the mayor of Melrose would like to step up and say a few words.
Hello, everybody. I would just like to welcome everybody to Melrose. I'd really like to thank the commissioners for giving us a chance of hosting your meeting. Our town fathers thought a long time ago about putting up this big building, and in Melrose years ago, we just called it the Taj Mahal. But over the years, our building has been very used, and it's been good for our community. Again, just welcome to Melrose. We've got a very progressive town here in the last 12 years. We're very do everything we can for our business to help them grow. There's been an investment of over $200 million in our little community. We're very lucky, even with the new Genio plant, our old plant, we got that BEAD grant for $670,000 to help with the old plant that we're going to be retrofitting, tearing down the old structure to help improve our community, to help us grow, trying to be on top of the 21st century. But again, we'd like to welcome all of you to Melrose and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Joel. And I think the deputy mayor of Freeport is here.
Hi there. Welcome from Freeport. Welcome to rural Minnesota, commissioners. And I hope you have a good and productive meeting here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And then, now I'd like basically for each of us commissioners kind of introduce ourselves and maybe say the district we're from and the area we cover. So for myself, I'm the chair this year. I live over by Freeport and I represent District 5, which basically is from Avon, Holdingford, and Avon Township, Holdingford Township, all the way to the Pope Todd County line. It's a big area.
How many townships, Steve?
Oh, I think I have
Lots.
lots, a good portion of them. Same with the cities. So, and I've been a commissioner now for 12 years. So, Commissioner Persky.
Yeah, Steve's got almost half the county, and so if you need to contact him, here he is. I've got District 2, which is Sartell, St. Joseph, and I've got 3 townships, St. Wendell, Leasock, and Brockway Township. St. Joseph Township as well. Yeah,
Commissioner Bertram.
Jeff Bertram, Paynesville, District 3. My district is the southern slice of Stearns County, Paynesville to Rockville, St. John's University to St. Augusta through Kimball, 35,000 people in the southern slice of Stearns County. Welcome.
Commissioner Clark.
Hi, everybody. I'm Terrell Clark. I'm the commissioner of District 1. I happen to have a very geographically dense district, all of which is within St. Cloud. The Mississippi borders it, get the beginning of the Sauk River through there, have the VA Medical Center, the St. Cloud Hospital, the St. Cloud State, St. Cloud Technical and Community College. So it might be dense, but there's a lot of different places that some of you may have been in, and really glad to be here.
Okay, and our newest commissioner, Commissioner Johnson.
Good evening. I'm Bob Johnson. I'm the baby commissioner of 5 months now, a special election in November. I have District 4, which is essentially South St. Cloud, below University, below Division, in some areas all the way down to St. Augusta, but not including St. Augusta, and then wraps all the way around and has the entire city of Waite Park as well. So it's a little bit urban, a little suburban, and a few farms in the western side.
All right, thank you. The Administrator, Mike Williams, would you care to just introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Williams. I'm the county administrator for a few more months.
And then we have Randy Schreifels to my left, the auditor treasurer. So when you write out your property tax statements, that's who gets the check right
He's
there.
taking checks tonight.
Okay, so our first item is approval of the agenda. Everyone should have a copy of the agenda in front of you or on your computer. So are there any additions, corrections, changes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move the agenda, and also want to recognize Sheriff Soika is also with us tonight.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
thank you, Commissioner Johnson. We got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is the consent agenda. We have 13 items on our consent agenda. The consent agenda items are usually items that either are vetted by a committee or one of the divisions who have the authority to make the approvals. And then basically as county commissioners, we review them before our meetings, and then we can pull them, ask questions, get additional information if we like to. So at this point, does anybody wish to pull any of the consent agenda items?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Persky. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, then our first item, Mr. Williams, our county administrator, would you like to introduce it, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to do that. We have two items under administration, the first of which is the public hearing to consider an ordinance that would limit the taking of deer with shotgun rather than rifles. The ordinance has been published, and the public hearing was advertised for this evening at this meeting. And I'm just going to run through just a few slides to remind everybody about why we're here and what we're going to do. As you can see up there, the shotgun zone has been in place for many years, since 1942. But in the last legislative session in 2025, the legislator eliminated the statewide shotgun zone. And in that same legislation, the state authorized counties to adopt ordinances that could limit the firearms back to the shotgun zone. And so, as I said, this is the evening advertised for that public hearing. We don't anticipate the board to take any action tonight. We anticipate action to be taken at the next board meeting on the 21st. And this is just the language that would be in place if the ordinance was adopted, which would again limit to shotguns and a few other types of guns, but basically shotguns, muzzle loaders, and legal handguns. And you can move to the next one. And the reason we're doing this now, even though the hunting season doesn't start, of course, until November, is that if we want to get any regulation that we place in the DNR law book, or we need to get that to the state by the first week in May. Now the county board doesn't have to take any action, and that would leave the ordinance or the state law in place. If the board wants to limit it to shotguns, then they would need to enact an ordinance. And any of this, if the state law doesn't change, could be changed in future years as well. There's currently, you can see here in the slide, there's a few counties, 6, that have adopted their own ordinances. 33 counties that have stayed with the state law by probably either affirming the state law in some kind of resolution or taking no action. And then there's an undecided list, which we know that some of those counties may not be taking action too. So, but it's hard to decipher where they would be until probably the end of the month. And then we actually, have a little bit of knowledge that some of those counties are likely going to not take action. But nevertheless, formally, this is what I would present. 33 have affirmed the state law in some way, shape, or form, and 22 haven't taken any action. So tonight again is the public hearing, and I'm happy that there's so many people here. And as you walked in, we were trying to remind people that if you want to speak to the issue, to sign up for it to speak, because Chair Notch is going to be calling people off of those sheets for you to speak. So if you haven't signed up and you want to speak, Nicole is still out there with sign-up sheets, and she'll bring them into me if you change your mind and want to speak. And again, Chair Notch, he'll call individuals up from the sign-up sheets. And when you come forward, if you just identify yourself and maybe just where you're from, we don't need your whole address because we've got that on the piece of paper. And we want you to limit your remarks to just a couple of minutes. With so many people here, we want everybody that wants to speak to have a chance to speak. I'm going to be the timekeeper of that. And we also ask that you avoid, if you can, just repeating comments that are already made. You can indicate that you agreed with a previous speaker, which would be an efficient way to tell us your thoughts. And there's a lot of people here, so we really ask you to be quiet and just respectfully listen to one another. If we begin to use, if there's pauses, interruptions, and people talking in the background, the board isn't going to be able to hear well. So please refrain from doing those things. That's really going to make sure that everybody's fairly heard. So thank you for your cooperation and your presence. We're glad you're here, and I'll turn it over to Chair Notch to conduct the hearing.
Okay, with that being said, we'll open the public hearing, and as Mike said, I'll read off your name if you come up to the microphone and just state your name, and maybe if, the city you're from or the township, just so, we kind of know if it's a city or township person. And then, again, try and limit, the amount of time spent, and plus, be respectful and be quiet in the back so at least they can be heard. So with that being said, Roger Weber, I believe. Yeah, and then Frank Volk, you're up afterwards, so maybe if you want to be ready.
Okay, I'm Roger Weber from Sauk Center. Live in Sauk Center Township and Melrose Township and Sauk Center Township. I have land, borders state land, both sides of me, so I was worried about the rifle when I first talked about it. I was dead against it, but I started listening to people and different experts. And the rifle isn't as dangerous as you'd like to think they are. And I didn't have nothing to back that up, so I went online and looked up some stuff from Wisconsin. They changed their regulations in 2013 with the rifle state. And they sell 555,000 rifle or gun tags a year, where Minnesota sells 380,000. So they're selling quite a few more tags. The populations are about the same for both states. The rural, I call it the ag part for both states, and the populations kind of equal each other. And one of the statistics they have is 48% of the incidents are self-inflicted gunshots, crawling up in a stand, climbing a fence. So that's half of the accidents are actually self-inflicted. Okay, so Minnesota has 112,000 farms. Wisconsin has 5,800 farms. The acreage is for Minnesota is 25 million, Wisconsin is 13 million. So both of those, it's half and half kind of, so state to state, we're not that far off, you know, population-wise. There was one other population. I guess that's roughly all I have.
Sounds better just now.
There, now it sounds like the microphone's on. Okay. All right.
Some of the other benefits of rifle, younger shooters, ladies, if any of you have shot a 12-gauge shotgun with slugs, that has some authority, and that's going to spook the younger generation away a little bit. And we still have people using a shotgun with bird barrel, which is pretty dangerous. I mean, if you got any questions what bird barrel is, feel free to ask me. I mean, so, I guess that's all I have at this time. Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks, Roger. Frank? Yeah. Hey, Frank, if you can get real close to the microphone,
I think
'cause-
if they get up to it.
Oh, I will.
there you go. There you go. And Carter Nathan would be up next.
Okay. My name is Frank J. Volk. I'm a lifelong resident of Stearns County in Brockway Township. I've been a Minnesota firearm safety instructor for over 11 years, president of the St. Stephen Sportsman's Club for the past 17. I've been a deer hunter for nearly 50 years. He did say a few things that I am planning to say. I urge you not to make a resolution to have Stearns County remain a shotgun zone. Like you had up there, the state of Minnesota created the shotgun zone in '42 to give the dwindling deer population a better chance. It had nothing to do with a safety issue, which is what most people thought, and I did too as I was growing up. At that time, shotguns were smooth bore, which did limit their range. Now, I don't know any deer hunter who doesn't use a rifled barrel shotgun, which is basically a 20-gauge or 12-gauge rifle. Technology has advanced. So I believe that people are concerned about safety. And like he said, most firearms hunting-related incidents are self-inflicted and/or close proximity negligent discharges. The type of firearm or caliber is irrelevant. It's all close. It has nothing to do with the range of the weapon. Like he said, Wisconsin eliminated their shotgun zone in 2013 and have not had an increase in incidents involving rifles. Currently, during deer season, I can go deer hunting with a shotgun. When I'm done deer hunting, I can take out my .30-06 and go coyote hunting on the same exact property. So it really has nothing to do with a safety issue. In 1942, the state of Minnesota told us what weapon we could use to hunt deer. In 2025, they gave us that choice back. To all those here who want to keep Stearns County a shotgun-only zone, I ask you, why would you fight against the opportunity to choose which weapon you use to hunt deer? The government has given us our choice back. As previously stated, technology has created rifled shotguns, but I, for one, would like the opportunity to go old school and use my grandfather's lever-action Winchester rifle to harvest deer here on my property in Stearns County. Thank you.
Thank you. If we can, let's try and not do any applause or anything so we can kind of keep it going. Carter Nathan. And then Russ Voigt, I think, would be up after.
Hello. So I wanted to state too that I
Can you
am
just state your name? And
Carter Nathan. I'm from Cold Spring.
Okay, thanks.
So I work with the trap team. I know the safety issues that can come with these things. But I am for the rifle, And I just want to state that I would like to have myself, my wife, and my kids to have the right to use their lever action rifles to take their game instead of just a shotgun. It's kind of hard for a girl that is 14 years old to shoot a 20 gauge and get knocked on her butt. So her using a lever action or a smaller caliber rifle gives her that opportunity to do that. I don't have much to say, but that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Russ? And then Dave, I don't know if it's Volk or Voss from Painesville would be up afterward.
Russ Voigt, Cold Spring. The speaker before the last one bringing up the point of I have to use the shotgun to hunt deer, but I can go home, grab my .6 and go coyote hunting. What's the logic of that? That's foolish. If you can shoot a coyote with a .6 or a rifle, you should be able to hunt the deer. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Dave Pelzer would be up after. Hey, Dave, you're up. Yep.
Hello, I'm Dave Vick. I'm from Painesville, Minnesota. And everybody's said a lot of great stuff already for hunting with a rifle. And I've talked to some DNR officers, and they've said that they're not responsible for going out in the woods to check what everybody's hunting with. They said it's on the sheriff's department. So I'd like the sheriff to come up here and say, yes, that's true, that's not true, or a DNR, is there any DNR officers here? I'd like them to come up and say, yeah, we're gonna take care of it, or we're not taking care of it. Because it's, you know, I really don't think the sheriff's department's got the right to walk on our land where the DNR does. So, that's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Dave Pelzer from Rockville, and I'm for opening it up to rifle. But I also realize that a lot of the deer hunters in Minnesota have to get permission from landowners that they don't own the land. And I would say that if the landowner says they only want shotgun for safety, then that hunter should obey that. But at least if I get permission from the landowner that it's okay to use a rifle, I would like that permission. Thank you.
Thank you. And then, I'm not sure, is it the last name Ennis from St. Cloud? Is it Larry, maybe? It could be. 1920 13th Street? 1920 13th Street? Okay.
Well, I had everything to say about all this stuff, but the previous speakers stole all my information, so I'm really kind of limited to nothing. But all I've got is say I'm for rifle, and I'm just going to read this little paragraph that I went into Wisconsin and DNR, and they came up with Wisconsin, the DNR is now considered the entire state safe for rifle, and the distinction in the former slug zone and rifle zone is negligible, with the focus remaining on hunter safety and practices. Using a rifle is much more humane than using a slug as far as killing a deer. I think it not much damage and everything. Interesting though, but Pope County, they decided to not go with the slugs, and I read in Outdoor News that the next day that they got 751 emails for rifle, 29 letters were 26 for rifle, and 3 were against slugs, or against it. So that kind of gives you kind of an idea, but that's the way it is. My time is almost up. To be honest with you, I would be more scared of picking up a slug down in downtown Minneapolis, or South Minneapolis, Colfax Avenue North, than 6 or 9 day deer season. That's just my personal opinion. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Bill Leggett, and then after Bill would be Jason Kushel.
I'm Bill Leggett. I'm a landowner in St. Little Township. Okay, this law was passed as a management tool for harvesting deer. And I asked the commissioners to follow that and not put a Band-Aid to it or an ordinance or anything to change it. This law, the change needs to be tested. You can always come back if something absolutely goes bad, but it needs to be tested by the hunters out there. And the hunters are going to give her 100% to make it work. Okay? So, if Stearns County Commissioners get the idea they want to put this ordinance in, are they the ones that are going to take care of the crop damage that's going to happen in Stearns County? Because they will be responsible. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And after Jason is Ben Kloeppner.
Jason Kershaw, St. Augusta. So most of my points were hit. One that I talked to a lot of DNR guys, and the big thing they said too is like they're already allowing rifled pistols. And they said, what's the big deal? If we're already using rifled pistols, yes, it's a shorter barrel, but we're already allowing rifles, and including coyote hunting and all that. So it's like, why can't, and even if you want to target shoot in your own land, you can target shoot any rifle in your own land. So why are we not allowing everybody to use a rifle for deer hunting? So I'm for it, and that's all I have.
Thank you. And after Ben is Kevin Prom.
Hi there. First of all, thank you for having us and allowing us to have this discussion tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm Ben Kloeppner from Sartell. Sorry.
You're not alone.
Pager test. So a couple of things that I just wanted to hit on. One thing is, typically in this area of Minnesota, most hunters, deer hunters, are hunting from an elevated platform. So they're hunting from an elevated tree stand. So their shot angle, even if the effective range of their weapon is dramatically greater or at some level greater, the backdrop of what you're shooting into is typically the ground. It's rarely are you shooting at anything that's skylined, for instance, like you would see out west in western states where you could shoot over a hill and not know where that bullet is going. Shooting from an elevated platform almost always the backdrop is the ground. Second of all, a lot of the shotguns that people are using in this area are semi-automatic or pump. You know, the last decade or so we have had the Savage 220 bolt action gun come out, which quite a few people have transitioned over to. But the fact of the matter is, with a pump or a semi-automatic, they're firing a lot more lead a lot quicker. Typically, most rifle hunters are using a bolt action rifle, which really allows you like one shot, maybe two. So it's kind of the theory that you make the first shot count and you're not just unloading your weapon. I hunted up north in both Baudette and the Chippewa National Forest for 2 decades. And up there, you don't hear people unloading their gun like you do around here in the shotgun zone. So, you know, that's one thing that I think fails to be communicated or thought about when they're thinking about, you know, shotgun versus rifle. Let's see, I gotta look at my note here real quick. You know, the DNR pushed for this for a number of years before they got it passed through the legislature because it was a good thing for Minnesota. It was a good thing for deer numbers. It's a good thing for efficacy, meaning there's way lower wound loss with a rifle than there is with a shotgun. The velocity of a rifle typically gets you an exit wound. A lot of times shotgun shots, you do not get an exit wound, which maybe that deer dies, but you never find it because you don't get a quality blood trail. And a blood trail is everything when that deer runs off after the shot. And so that's one thing that we've been experiencing at my land with shotguns is really tough tracking jobs with shotguns because of the lack of an exit wound, especially when the deer is out greater than 75 yards out. So I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm from Sartell
And after Kevin,
Firearms.
yeah, come up to the
Everybody-
microphone.
Everyone covered what I had to say, so I don't have much more.
Okay, Dave Rogenkamp, and then Mark Nathan.
Good evening, Dave Rogenkamp. Thanks for having this meeting tonight. I made some notes here, so I might just read a little bit of it. I'm 71 years old, and I've been hunting deer for 60 years in Minnesota, about 55 of those in rifle zones, and most recently, the last several years, on a 160-acre farm in the Rockville area of Stearns County, which has been, up to this point in time, a shotgun-only zone. I've shot countless deer over the years with a variety of rifles, and several over the recent years with a shotgun, and I can say with a very high degree of certainty that there is no compelling reason to continue the shotgun-only zone in Stearns County. First of all, and this point was made previously about elevated stands, but again, I'd like to reiterate that a high percentage of deer that are shot are done so from the elevated stands, meaning that the bullet trajectory is toward the ground. The incidence of rifle bullets or shotgun slugs being fired in an upward trajectory, creating a downrange hazard, is very rare. In the very rare number of cases where that might happen, modern shotgun slugs are not significantly less dangerous than a rifle bullet for downrange accidents. There simply is not a case to be made that the geography and population of Stearns County is so uniquely different from other areas of the state where rifles have been or now will be legal, that they should not be legal here. The other Minnesota counties that were previously shotgun only and are much more flat and open, such as Pipestone and others, or more densely populated in some areas, such as Olmsted, have already decided that rifles will be legal. Second, the original implementation of shotgun-only zones in Minnesota many years ago was not motivated primarily for the safety reasons, but as a means to limit the harvest of deer in certain areas. That goal is still needed throughout different areas of the state. Recently, interestingly enough, more so in the traditional rifle zones, can better be accomplished with harvest limits set by the DNR for each deer management area. Third, it's been proven in other states that eliminating shotgun-only zones does not increase accidental shootings or create other problems. Only Massachusetts and Rhode Island and New Jersey, to my knowledge, continue limiting deer hunting in areas to shotguns only. Again, now that Minnesota has legalized rifles statewide, subject only to individual counties deciding otherwise, there is no compelling reason that Stearns County should not allow hunting deer with rifles. Thank you.
Thank you. And after Mark is Dolores.
I'm Mark Nathan from St. Joe, and I'm glad that they finally got a rifle season because I'm getting older and now I can have a chance at it here. But another thing I was gonna tell you commissioners, if you guys know that there ain't just one or two calibers of a rifle, you got a straight wall cartridge rifles that don't shoot, like a big high-powered rifle. And I would think that your young youth kids would probably enjoy that better than a shotgun that gets, them knocked on their butt and stuff. But that's what I would think, everybody ain't looking at that either. There's more than just, the big high-powered rifles. You got your small cartridges too, straight wall. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Dolores Mack, is it? And after Dolores is Megan. Yeah, Megan's up after Dolores.
Hello, I'm Dolores Smiley from Cold Spring. I started hunting when I was 18 years old in 1964. I am 80 years old now. I've had many wonderful years of hunting. My body has taken quite a toll, especially my shoulder. And so I am very fortunate that hopefully this year I can hunt with a rifle. I've had lots of good experience with family, and at my age, I hope that many seniors my age can still go out hunting this year because we could hunt with a rifle. I appreciate your attention. There's just a lot of good memories when you get older that you have with your grandkids, your family, and I don't want to give that up. I'm hoping to hunt another 10 years. Mr. Bertram, I would appreciate your vote that I could hunt with a rifle this coming fall, so thank you.
Thank you. After Megan is John Miley.
My name is Megan Keppers. Chairman Notch and fellow commissioners, thank you for giving me the time to talk today. I am a sixth-generation resident of Stearns County in the Avon Township. When I was 10, I really loved to be in the outdoors with my family and I wanted to start deer hunting, but I was too little to be even able to shoot a .410. However, I could shoot rifles with ease. Allowing Stearns County to go as a rifle zone would make deer hunting much safer for women and children. I stand for the future generations of outdoor men and women who are in favor of rifles and are looking for a safer, more ethical harvest. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And then after John is Ken Swanson.
I'm John Miley, Senior from Cold Spring. I'm going to skip the first part of what I had to say because it's pretty well been covered by previous speakers. But I just wanted the commissioners to consider our neighbors to the east, Sauk Rapids, Princeton, Cambridge, North Branch. They've been in the rifle zone since it's been established and are essentially heavily populated north metro suburbs without firearm safety issues during deer season. We in Stearns County are certainly as smart as our neighbors to the east, even though our governor says we're just rocks and cows.
Thank you. And then after Ken is Mary from Avon. Sorry, I can't read the last name.
Hi, Ken Swanson, Millwood Township. Agree with everything that everybody said, but I'd like to add the ballistic portion of shotgun versus rifle. I went online, looked, I found 5 different studies between shotgun and rifle. 3 of them said there was no difference after they were done with their study. 2 of them said that rifles were safer due to the fact of rifle bullets. When they hit something, they fragment and they're done. Shotguns, the slugs carry long, long ways. One of the places that did one of these studies was Picatinny Military Base in New Jersey. That base does all the ballistic testing for the United States, and they concluded that slugs were more dangerous than rifles. That's all I got.
Thank you. And Mary is up, and then Alex.
Hello, Mr. Chair and council members. I am Mary Grunlow, and this is my husband, Jim. We are Brockway Township residents. My husband, Jim, is a Green Beret veteran and fully understands the capabilities of all firearms. The fact is, all guns are safe when handled responsibly. No single type is inherently more dangerous than another. The operator is responsible for the firearms actions. We do not feel our county should have any involvement in deer hunting rules. County law enforcement should not be placed in the position of regulating deer hunting firearms. These decisions belong with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, which has the expertise and statutory authority to manage wildlife and hunting regulations. The smartest thing the county can do is not get involved in adopting a gun law. We respectfully ask that deer hunting regulations remain under the authority of the DNR and not be addressed through a county ordinance. We do not support the slug-only ordinance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mylan Foster. Okay, Eric Sabruski. And then after Eric is Aaron Keppers.
Good evening. I'm Eric Sprowski from Albany. Everybody touched on what I had, so I just want to read something quick for you about a hunting accident in Wisconsin. Shooter fired once from the hip at a deer running away from him. He heard a victim yelling through the swamp. When he went over to him, the victim observed his finger was bleeding and he found a bullet in his chest. So what that tells me is people are being unsafe. So use your gun safety knowledge. Don't fire at something from your hip, and use a rifle, whatever you want. You want to use a shotgun? Use a shotgun. But there should be no law restricting us on using firearms. Thank you.
Thank you. Then after Aaron is Stephen Sand.
My name is Aaron Keppers. I'm the 5th generation resident of Stearns County, Avon Township. Like everybody else has touched on, I'm in favor of rifles in Stearns County. Other people have touched on Wisconsin. 10 years ago when Wisconsin changed from a shotgun to a rifle zone, they had 10 incidents a year. Since then it's gone down to 2, so it's actually been safer to hunt with a rifle than with a shotgun in Wisconsin. I have nothing else because everybody else stole my ideas, so I just want to thank you and ask you, Commissioner Notch, to please vote rifles for Stearns County. Thank you.
Thank you. And after Stephen Sand is Joe Matt.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephen Sand. I'm from Holdingford. I'm in favor for the rifle hunting, basically for my 2 daughters. We had a 9-year-old and a soon-to-be 12-year-old. Getting her to a deer hunt it's been a little bit of a challenge with the shotguns and stuff like that, and she definitely enjoys target shooting with the rifle. She does that quite a bit, and just the shotgun is a little bit more challenging for her, so I'm definitely in favor for the rifle. So if you could help pass that and keep that for a rifle, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks for your time.
And then after Joe Matt is John B.
I'm Joe Matt. I live here in Melrose. I appreciate you guys being here and taking the time to listen to us. I do have some concerns regarding the proposed slug-only ordinance and its legal procedural implications. After review of Minnesota law, I understand counties can adopt a slug ordinance, but it's clear that counties do not have the statutory authority to adopt the slug-only ordinance with any intent to regulate deer harvest. So here are the details. Number 1, state law supersedes county authority. Minnesota deer management is governed by the Minnesota statutes, Chapter 97A and 97B, which delegate authority exclusively to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources to manage, protect, and regulate harvesting of white-tailed deer. Counties do not have the authority to impose restrictions on firearms for the intent of managing deer populations. Public comments about deer protection, harvest limits, and trophy management should be directed to the DNR, which regularly hosts public listening sessions for hunters and landowners. Recognizing public comments and/or commissioner discussions that justify a slug ordinance would be in contempt of statute 97A and 97B. Number 2, misleading statements regarding the county authority. County media releases have referred to, quote, a long-standing approach of allowing only shotguns, muzzle loaders, and certain handguns, end quote. This statement is misleading. State law only had the authority to determine which firearms are legal for deer hunting. This county has no legal basis for claiming a historical approach to firearm restriction. Continuing to present this as a county precedent may expose the county to liability for misinformation. Number 3, procedural concerns regarding, quote, intent. A recent county publication used the word intent to describe plans to pass ordinance. Intent is a legal term, intent as a legal term refers to a conscious purpose or aim, not the formal legislative process. Proper procedure requires that the community first hold a public hearing to assess the need for an ordinance before determining whether adoption is appropriate. Pre-announcing intent may be considered premature and procedurally inappropriate. And number 4, recommended action. I respectfully urge the county board to defer to the state law, which now legally allows rifles for deer hunting. Accepting this state law avoids potential legal conflict, ensures compliance with Minnesota statutes, and protects both the county and the hunting community from misinformation and unintended legal consequences. I do not support the slug-only ordinance. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. After John is Alan Peterson.
Hi, John Beek, and I reside here in Melrose, hunt the western part of Stearns County. I guess everything's kind of been covered. It seems the main proponent to any of this is a safety issue, which I think has been studied plenty and doesn't seem to be a factor. I guess I'm in favor of going to rifle in this county, and it's pretty obvious here that the constituents want that, and I'd hope that you would represent your constituents. Thank you.
Okay, and then after Alan is Mike Zierden.
Good evening, I'm Alan Peterson from Eden Valley, Minnesota. A little different, I grew up in Wisconsin, moved here about 14 years ago. So I've been hunting my entire career. Also been making farm calls as my career for 50 years. So I watched the whole Wisconsin thing happen. Two things we noticed. One was safety, and I think everyone's talked about the safety aspect in detail, so it got safer. That was a big concern when we saw that change. Excuse me. The other thing was we were concerned about all the trophy bucks. So now we're going to kill all these trophy bucks with a better gun, especially Buffalo County. That didn't happen. We're still killing trophy bucks. So I don't think we changed the trophy harvest any by going with rifles. So my experience, I think staying away from slugs only, going to rifle. I would like to see you guys vote to go with rifle only. Thank you.
Okay. Then after Mike Zierden is Gary Gretsch. Gonna pass. Gary? And then after Gary is Adam Saponiak.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was really bad. Good evening. My name is Gary Gretsch. I'm from Albany, Minnesota. I have a 80-acre hobby farm. I guess I'm sitting up here and listening to what everybody was discussing stuff, and I'm kind of on the fence as to where and what's right and what's wrong. I know there's been a lot of discussion about changing the law back in the 40s. But at that time, if you look back in the 40s, the amount of homes that were built out in the countries and stuff isn't nearly what it is today. But so be it that. I guess the big factor is I hunt northern Minnesota and I hunt Montana. So there's been incidents up northern Minnesota where people have been shot or whatever it may be, and you know, the opportunity in Stearns County is also there. I guess the only thing I can say is really going to become a safety issue. People are really going to have to be, I mean, 90% of the hunters are going to be safety first. There's a percentage that no matter where you are, it's going to be there. I guess that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Okay, after Adam is Ryan Rothstein.
My name is Adam Spaniak. I'm the mayor of St. Joseph, Minnesota. I'm also a youth firearms safety instructor, and I'm here with my father tonight. We've both operated and managed the Guns and Gear store going on 20 years now in Stearns County. I've lived in Stearns County my entire life. I've hunted white-tailed deer in this county my entire life, as is my father. I believe if anybody in this county could state that they're a subject matter expert on firearms and hunting, we have to be close. Looking at the counties that you showed in the packet that you provide to all of us, there's 39 that have made a decision already. 33 of those chose to side with state law to go with a rifle zone. That's 84.6%. 84.6% of the counties have already decided to side with state law. And as the gentleman a couple before me already stated, we've already decided that if you do not side with this, you're going to be going into a state preemption. So you're going to be going against state law. That's what he was alluding to. And looking back at the original intent of this being written in 1942, the original shotgun zone was established in 1942, pulling a direct quote from our state legislators that passed this to be a rifle zone. And it was intended to aid the deer population recovery by, and I want to place an emphasis on this, limiting the effectiveness of hunting firearms. So what our state legislators knew back in 1942 that we all in this room understand today is that a shotgun is an inferior tool to hunt deer, whether we're looking at aspects of accuracy, safety, or a swift and humane kill. If we look at the counties surrounding us, Todd to the north of us has already decided to be a rifle county, a rifle zone. Meeker to the south of us has decided to be a rifle county, a rifle zone. So the aim is to be safer, a rifle's best. If the aim is to be having more humane and swift harvests, a rifle is best. If the aim is to make the work and lives of DNR officers and sheriff deputies easier so they have consistency across the counties they're managing and working, a rifle is best. And I can personally state from my position being a mayor, and I hope that you would understand in your position being representatives and commissioners, that you should always side on the side of freedom. We've been given the opportunity to have the choice of what firearm we want to use, whether that's a handgun, a muzzleloader, a shotgun, or a rifle. Don't take that away from us.
So after Ryan is Tim Hennon.
My name's Ryan Rothstein, and I live by Richmond. And I can be appreciative of the fact that there are people, probably even in this room, that do feel safety is a concern, and certainly those that don't deer hunt. So it's always helpful for me putting things in perspective. So I looked it up. My odds of being involved in a firearms incident while deer hunting anywhere in this state, whether that's a shotgun zone or a rifle zone, are 1 in 79,450. My odds of being struck by lightning are 1 in 15,300. My odds of getting wounded or killed in a car accident on my way home tonight are 1 in 95. I am far more likely to die tonight on my way home than I ever will in the rest of the time that I am given to go deer hunting. So I would just appreciate taking that into consideration. The DNR, who has the statutory authority to manage deer in this state, has numerous times stated unequivocally that this is not a safety issue. It is a deer management issue. And I would hope that you take that into account as well. And it's been stated before, but I think it bears repeating. You can pass an ordinance tonight and it could restrict us to shotguns. But safety is not performed by the government. Safety is performed by the individual who bears the responsibility of picking up that firearm. I personally think Polk County made a mistake, and they are going to have to deal with that mistake every single year for as long as they choose to keep that ordinance. You have a choice, commissioners, coming up here. If you choose to adopt this ordinance, you are going to be dealing with this every single year for as long as you choose to maintain that ordinance. Pope County found that out the very next day, and I personally think after hearing so many people in this room, you're going to find the same thing if you choose to pass this ordinance. And my God, if the cheeseheads in Wisconsin can figure it out, I would sure hope that we can. So I implore you, commissioners, you have a choice to make, and I would appreciate if that choice were allowing us to use rifles here in Stearns County. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Is Tim here? I see him get up before. Otherwise, Tom Krebs? Tom Krebs? And then, is that Jeff Schrammel after?
Hello, my name is Tom Krebs. I live just north of Melrose. And after listening to all these wonderful comments, I'm definitely more on the fence than I ever was before. But I did want to say that I have pictures on my phone of where a rifle bullet went through the wall of the house and went through the rec room and bounced off of a solid oak trim board, and then it lay on the floor. When I found it, I called the sheriff. They went out there, and it looked like either a .270 or a .30-06 rifle round. And then upon further investigation, we found a large dent in a propane tank. Now, it's true this could have been intentional, but it does give you pause to think about high-powered rounds flying through the county. Okay?
Thank you. And after Jeff is Joe Mergen. Okay. And then John Freeler. Jason Tenyon. And after Jason is it Ted Concert or Jed?
Hello, everyone, and thanks. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, commissioners. First of all, I feel it's probably not right that this decision comes down in your guys' hands. I kind of feel bad for you guys, but I want to share a story with you, just like Tom just did. So I kind of felt compelled to come up here and speak tonight. I was at my uncle's last week, and he told me about a slug that came through his house. He traced it back. It came through the screen porch 2 times. It came through the steel siding, and it stopped on the sheetrock. You can see the bulge on the inside of the house. And there's no doubt in his mind or my mind that if that was a rifle bullet, it would have came through the house. My point is, I want you to just consider that when you're making this decision. Like I said, that bullet was not ricocheted. This is a true story. It happened just south of Holdingford on County Road 9. If anybody wants to see it, it's still there, or talk to him. Like I said, I felt compelled to come and tell that story. And he couldn't be here, and he is an avid hunter, and he definitely does not want to see the rifles come into Stearns County. And the second thing I want to say, I'm not against rifles in Minnesota. I'm against rifles in Stearns County, though. And a lot of people have talked tonight about 33 of the 39 counties. We're not any of those 33 counties. We are Stearns County. We need to decide for ourselves what we need to do. It's way more populated in Stearns County. I've got land in Todd County, and I'm all for rifles up there. I'm not really for rifles in Stearns County. We got the interstate running through. We got the Wabagon Trail. We're a lot more populated. And going back to that, if that bullet would not have stopped, or if that house would not have been there, which that house was not there 12 years ago, it's a fairly new house, that bullet would have traveled across County Road 9. And probably nobody's heard about that story, and that's a good thing. We don't want to hear about what could happen with those stories. So thank you again for being here, and just want you to consider that when you're making your decision.
Thank you. And then, Is Jed or Ted here? And then it's Steve Ludwig after.
Hello, my name is Jed Conser. I live by County Road 9, right between Avon and Holdingford. A couple things to say, most of them been touched on. Somebody even stole my joke about the Packers. Like, I don't want to give Packers fans credit for doing anything smart, but they kind of did the rifle thing, and the data's been there that says there's nothing really bad has happened. So I think the safety thing has been touched on pretty good. As far as the, a rifle, a shotgun bullet, shotgun slug hit the house, there's nothing that says that if it wasn't a rifle bullet, which are much more fragile, that it would have ever made it to the house at all. Somebody else touched on that. Rifle bullets are generally lighter. They're going faster. When they do hit dirt, they come apart a lot quicker than a big heavy shotgun slug will. But one thing that actually people haven't touched on that I would like to bring up, I have 4 daughters, right? So 4 young daughters. They all like to hunt. They're all very small. Shotguns with slugs are absolutely punishing to shoot. Rifles are much more enjoyable to shoot, and with the current trends, almost everybody that I hunt with, out west or anywhere, everybody is shooting a rifle, but not only that, they're shooting a suppressed rifle. If you look around, probably quite a few of these guys shoot suppressed rifles. Everybody thinks rifles that don't shoot suppressed, they think that, oh, that just makes them quiet. They are quieter, but the other thing, they bring down the recoil an unbelievable amount. You can take a small girl, one time pulling that, even a 20 gauge slug, she's going to be terrified of that. They're just punishing to shoot, and they aren't enjoyable. Now, if you put that same kid on a suppressed rifle, it's enjoyable to shoot. It doesn't make you go deaf, it doesn't hurt, and you can shoot it better as a result. So that's just my biggest thing. It's, especially if we're trying to get kids into hunting, it's so much more enjoyable to shoot a suppressed rifle. Anybody that has shot suppressed will tell you, yeah, I'm never going back to shooting unsuppressed. If anybody has any questions on it, like if you guys want to know the difference and you don't, by all means, let us know. Come on out. We'll shoot both, and then you can decide which one you like more for yourself. We'll go from there. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you. Steve Ludwig, and then Abigail Ludwig.
Good evening, Chair and Council. I'm Steve Ludwig, reside in Eden Lake Township. I strongly oppose the county dictating what firearm we can use for deer hunting. Research has shown that rifles are safer than shotguns. Rifles are more accurate, allowing hunters to place the shot precisely and reduce the chance of wounding game. In contrast, shotgun slugs can be less predictable and may increase risk in certain situations, especially in open farm country. Hunters like myself own our land. I know our neighbors, our surroundings. We take careful shots. We follow safety practices. One-size-fits-all county ordinance does not reflect the reality of responsible hunters on private farmland. Firearm regulations for deer hunting should remain the state level, where the bases are consistent science and statewide level, where they are based on statewide management goals. The county should not impose additional restrictions that are not supported by evidence and that limit responsible hunters. I respectfully ask that the county allow hunters to continue using rifles and not adopt the ordinance that unnecessarily restricts firearm choices for deer hunting. Thank you.
Thank you. And after Abigail is Corey Sagi.
Hi, I'm Abigail Ludwig out of Richmond, Minnesota. I'm a teenage girl hunter, and I hunt with my 4 sisters, McKenna, Madeline, Aniston, and Elizabeth, and also my dad. Hunting is something our family does together, and it's a tradition. For us, rifles fit our bodies better than shotguns. Rifles are typically lighter, have less recoil, and are easier for small-framed hunters to handle safely and are more accurate. Being able to comfortably shoulder a firearm and maintain control is an important part of safe hunting. When a firearm fits properly, we can place more accurate shots, which is more ethical for the animal and safer for everyone around us. Limiting us to shotguns does not improve safety for young hunters like us. We believe that young hunters, including girls like us, should have the right to use equipment that fits our body and helps us hunt safely and responsibly. Me and my 4 sisters do not support the county passing the slug-only ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. And then after Corey is Luke Herdering.
Good evening. My name is Corey Sogi. I live in Eden Lake Township. My wife and me, our home borders public land on 2 sides. My house is approximately 300 feet from public land, and my farmland borders it for nearly a quarter mile. I also have 3 wonderful children, so safety is my biggest concern. Despite living adjacent to the public land, I have never had an issue in the past 20 years living there. I do not have concerns with hunters using rifles. In fact, I believe rifles can improve safety. Rifles design accuracy, allowing hunters to place shots more precisely and ethically. The increased accuracy reduces the likelihood of stray shots compared to less precise firearms. Additionally, rifles tend to have more predictable bullet performance. Slugs, because of their shape and slower velocity, can deflect and ricochet more unpredictably when they contact hard surfaces. A properly used rifle with responsibility hunters offers controlled and intentional shot placement. As a landowner directly bordering public land, my perspective is based on data and supporting state law. Safety matters deeply to me and my family, and based on that concern, I support allowing hunters to use accurate and effective tools such as rifles. Thank you.
Thank you. And then after Luke is Dwayne Berg.
No comment.
Okay. Then Carter Sogi. And Luke.
Good evening. My name is Luke. I live in Albany here in Stearns County. I strongly oppose the resolution to restrict the county to shotgun-only hunting. At its core, this issue isn't about rifles versus shotguns. It's about responsibility and choice. The safety rules I teach Marines on the range at drills as a marksmanship coach and staff NCO don't change. Treat every weapon as if it were loaded. Never point a weapon at anything you do not intend to shoot. Keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Keep your weapon on safe until you intend to fire. And lastly, always know what your target is and what lies beyond it. Those rules apply equally no matter what someone is holding. A safe hunter follows them regardless of the firearm. An unsafe hunter follows them regardless of what firearm is in their hands. If someone is hunting today, they already have a firearm, and changing the tool in their hands does not change the behavior of the individual. For consistency's sake also, I'm not sure if this slug rule changes this, but Minnesota already allows rifle caliber handguns in shotgun zones. We're already in a position where rifle-type ballistics are legal in this area. Restricting a more stable shouldered firearm while allowing that clearly doesn't improve safety. This also comes down to choice. Allowing rifles doesn't take anything away. Hunters who prefer shotguns can continue using them. This simply allows people to use what they are most proficient and comfortable with, and people are safest when they're using what they know best. About the future of hunting, we see hunter participation, and I don't know for Stearns County exactly this data, but it's trending downward or stagnant year over year. If we want hunting to continue, I think it's best that we lower barriers to entry instead of adding them. I want my children, my 2 daughters, and everyone else's children to have the opportunity to get into hunting without fear or intimidation. I think about the day that I can take Eloise and Emmeline out with me and them not being afraid of what's in their hands. For your sake, this is a 90-10 issue. The vast majority of the hunters are responsible. They follow the rules. The question is about restricting the majority because of concerns about a small minority, which I respect their opinions and I respect the concerns. I would be terrified if a bullet hole was in the side of my building. I would also then talk to my neighbors and talk to them about what their individual responsibility is. If I believe it was them, I should say. Do we trust responsible hunters to follow the safety principles they've already been taught, or do we restrict everyone because of the potential actions of a few? I believe tonight we've seen that the choice is clear. Thank you.
Thank you. And after Carter is Keith, is it Kepnich?
I am Carter Sogi from Paynesville. I'm a young adult hunter who was taught firearm safety and hunting ethics by my father and grandfather through youth hunts, formal firearms training, and participating in high school trap shooting. I have received extensive education and hands-on experience. Anyone who questions today's youth with firearms should recognize that our generation has more structured training opportunities than any age group before us. The fact is, we are required to complete safety courses, we practice regularly, and we grow up understanding responsible firearm handling. In addition, our conservation ethics are stronger and more informed than in the past. We are taught not just how to hunt, but why responsible hunting matters for conservation and wildlife management. For these reasons, I do not support the county's proposed slug-only ordinance. Restricting firearm choice does not reflect the training and responsibility and conservation mindset of today's young hunters. Instead, we should trust educated hunters and follow state laws. Council, do not pass a slug-only ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. And after Keith is Derek Schwegel.
Good evening. I'm Keith Kempenick. I'm probably one of the few people here that's actually an urbanite. I'm from St. Cloud. If and when I choose to hunt Stearns County, it will be on public land. Truth is, I have no further argument to make. Everybody has made excellent points, and I agree with them that we should be allowed to hunt with rifles in Stearns County. Thank you.
Thank you. Then after Derek is Kim Sogi.
Derek Schwegel, Brockway Township resident, sportsman, firearms enthusiast. It's been said tonight that the shotgun-only zone was not put in place for safety, but for deer management. But most people that oppose it seem like it's a safety issue, and even people that are for it is a safety issue. So I'm going to talk about the facts regarding the safety of using different types of firearms in Minnesota. If you go on the DNR's website, they have a list of all firearms hunting related incidents dating back to 1947. They list them by year, by type, what happened, what type of gun was used. You can look them all up, and if you look at them, the largest incidents of firearms hunting incidents happen with small game, not large game like deer. So if you take the 4 to 6 hunting related firearms incidents in deer hunting that happen each year, over half of those are people shooting themselves. Okay, so restricting what type of weapon they're going to use is not going to prevent that type of injury. If you take the remaining half of those are people shooting the person next to them. Okay, so restricting what type of weapon that you use is not going to prevent that, right? And if you take the remaining quarter, which if you average that out year over year and round it to the closest number, whole number, it's 1. There's 1 incident where people are shot at a distance of greater than arm's length each year across the entire state of Minnesota. It's 500,000 hunters that take the woods, 1 incident over arm's length distance that they're shot. Okay, and if you look at all of those, 2/3 of them are with a shotgun. Now, while rifles are the predominant weapon that is used in Minnesota because of the zone that it's in, shotguns are 2 to 1 more often used when shooting somebody at a distance. So if you want to be on the right side of this, not only should you allow people to use rifles, you should consider that people should possibly only use rifles, since they are proven over the last decades and decades of DNR information to be the safest. Thank you.
Thank you. And after Kim is John Miley. This could be junior. He didn't put it together.
Kim Sogi from Paynesville. Mine has been touched on too, but I still want to read it, okay. Stearns County has a long history of respecting personal and property rights and avoiding overregulation. When it comes to deer hunting, we do not need the county to get involved. We are a hunting family like many in this room, and we fully understand the importance of safety. The firearm itself is not the issue. Responsible use is. We also have young children who will likely become hunters, we want them to be able to use firearms that suit them appropriately. Rifles offer more options for proper fit, along with a wide range of calibers that provide lighter recoil and improved accuracy. Those factors help promote safe and ethical hunting. Lastly, the state has already given us the right to use rifles. There is no clear reason for the county to take that right away. Thank you.
Thank you. And after John Miley is Riley DeRozier.
Mr. Chair and council members, my name is John James Miley, not to confuse with the other John Mileys. I'm from Collegeville, Minnesota. I too have found the proposed slug ordinance deeply problematic for both hunters and enforcement. And my perspective might be a little bit different from most you've heard already so far. For instance, last year I was fortunate enough to study abroad in the United Kingdom, where I had the unique experience to participate in deer and a fox hunt just an hour outside of the city of London. It is important to point out that in the UK, private gun ownership is highly restricted and tightly controlled by the government, and all their big game hunting is done with rifles. The area in which I hunted was far more densely populated than Stearns County, and it consisted of more roads, smaller farms, and more open areas. That experience made my question, why is my county debating additional restrictions on firearms, beyond what state law already allows? This is rural Minnesota. The state has granted us the right to use rifles, and all hunters should have equal opportunity. There is no justifiable reason to impose stricter regulations here in Stearns County. For these reasons, I cannot and will not support the slug-only ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. And after Riley is Sarah Miley.
Hi, Chair and Council members. My name is Riley DeRozier. I'm a student at St. John's, therefore I reside in Collegeville, Minnesota. I find the proposed slug ordinance to be very problematic ordinance for hunters and enforcement. I also see this unfair when the majority of Minnesota allows rifles already. Game and fish law is intended to be uniformly fair for all hunters. Passing a slug ordinance is not uniformly fair for hunters. Deer permit areas do not follow county lines. Not all county lines are hard and straightforward. Consistent regulation is fair regulation. Stearns County should not add inconsistency and complexity to deer regulations. We already have to read over a 100-page manual. We should not have any more regulation. And then as a student, there is also a cost barrier. Trying to buy an extra slug gun as somebody who is from northern Minnesota is, as a college student, is just, it's not available and will decrease hunting numbers. Thanks.
Thank you. After Sarah is Rodney Atkinson.
Hi, I'm Sarah Miley. I'm a hunter and a mother, and these are my beliefs. More than half of Minnesota firearms deer hunters already use rifles safely every year. The data shows that allowing rifles statewide does not increase hunting accidents, improves ethical harvests, and supports conservation. This is about fair rules, common sense, and trusting Minnesota hunters to do what they've been always done, hunt safely and responsibly. I am for rifles. Thank you.
Thank you. And after Rodney is Jerry Tyson. Okay. And then after Rodney, or after Jerry, would it be Randy Albright?
Good evening. I'm Rodney Atkinson, and I've deer hunted for the last 4 years of my life, which is literally nothing. But I enjoy it. I really think it's just terrible that you guys are faced with having to make this decision. I would like to wish that, and I've been involved in some local government, so I just don't understand why they're putting it on you guys. I mean, DNR is supposed to know natural resources, and the state's skipping their responsibility, you know. We shoot in Todd County, so we don't care what you do, but I just want to say thanks for you guys putting your effort into it, listening to all this, and looks like you're preaching to the choir because everybody wants rifles.
Thank you. And after Randy is David Zimmer.
Good evening. Randy Albright, Painesville. I've been teaching firearm safety for 35 years. Everything else has been touched on, but I've made several calls to St. Paul. And everybody I talked to said, we're going with the state law. That's it. So the policing is going to have to be done by our overworked, stressed county. Who's footing that bill? We're tired of it. Thank you. Good night.
David Zimmer, and then Doug Kalinowski.
I pass.
Okay. Then that Randy Clausen would be after.
Thank you, Commissioners. David Zimmer, Munson Township. I also ask that the county defer to state law on this matter. I just want to tell a little story about my daughter Hannah. Back in 2014, my daughter Hannah, age 11, probably 80 pounds, wanted to go deer hunting. So I ended up putting a rifle in her hands for target practice due to the cost of 20-gauge slugs, and had her shoot with that. And she shot very well, good enough to shoot a deer at 50 yards, not good enough to go in the woods. So I handed her that 20-gauge so she would be familiar with that. Youth Model 870, Savage slugs, iron sights. First shot was great. Next one, not as good. And it got worse and worse. I knew exactly what was going on. She hated the recoil. Took that gun out, gave her a 22, had her shoot with this 22 until the groups came down, looked good, then handed it to her until we got in the field, climbed the tree. Day 2 into our hunt, doe comes walking in, levels the gun, pulls the trigger. Her first words were, ow. She wasn't jacked about the deer. She said, ow. The deer ran a little bit, laid down in front of us, tipped over, expired there. She was more concerned about the recoil from that gun. So when I hear these stories about these young ladies wanting to get into deer hunting, this is a perfect reason to allow it. Let those people use, or there was another lady here that was pretty young too asking about it. I don't see where she's at. Let the people use the tool that works best for them. Find a rifle, right caliber, right recoil for them. Let them use that. That's my opinion on it. That was her first and only deer. Thank you.
So after Randy Clausen, after Randy is Pete Welly.
Hello, Chairman. I'm not in favor of the Stearns County creating a statute. I'm in favor of what the state is allowing us to do. One point, as Rodney said, I hunt in Todd County also, so I live in Stearns Hunt, so it's very close to the line. So if you decide to fail the 250 people in here, how is the statute going to be written as to, I leave Todd County, I'm coming into Stearns County, I got a bagged deer, sheriff pulls me over because I didn't put my single light on, whatever the reason is. When he says, where'd you shoot that deer? And I got both guns in my vehicle, shotgun, and because I can hunt Stearns County with a shotgun, and I can hunt. So then you land up in court. It costs county money for him to represent the citation that I got because he didn't believe that I shot it in a rifle zone. So there's a lot more to be discussed, I guess, than just yea or nay. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Welly. And then Chad Van Beck would be after.
Thank you, Commissioners, for coming to Melrose. I would agree with Rodney. This probably shouldn't be in front of you folks because I think the DNR passed the buck. But since it is in front of you folks, I am I'm on the Oaktown Board, and I've dealt with zoning kind of watching from the outside in when people are trying to place houses or feedlots and everything else. I feel that the zoning over the years has not been strong enough where we can allow rifles into the county now. I think the houses are there, the feedlots are there, they're not changing. And at the time, you know, they wanted their houses to be there, and now they're there, and it's going to restrict hunters, I believe. So, thank you.
Thanks. Then after Chad Van Beck is Ben Weekman. Okay, and then Randy Keekley. Is Chad here? Okay, Randy Keekley?
Hello, Randy Keekley, Eden Lake Township. I'm here on behalf of the Eden Valley Sportsman's Club. Our organization is deeply committed to safe, responsible firearms use and education. For more than 50 years, our club has provided youth firearms training, emphasizing safety, accountability, ethical decision-making, and respect for both firearms and wildlife. We believe a slug-only ordinance will unintentionally impact law-abiding citizens, restrict youth education and mentoring opportunities, and add complexity to deer hunting rules and regulations. Additionally, a slug-only ordinance should not become an enforcement responsibility for our county enforcement. As a result of the new statewide rifle use, our club stands ready to educate local hunters of all ages to prioritize safety and responsible firearm operations in the upcoming hunting season. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Brutker and Kevin Knobloch.
Aaron Brutker, Eden Lake Township. Born and raised in Stearns County. I'm also the GOP candidate for Senate in SD 13. I strongly oppose the proposed county ordinance. The other speakers already did a great job covering the points. There is no reason to restrict the rights of hunters in Stearns County from picking the most effective firearm to ethically take deer. Thank you.
Thanks. Kevin Knobloch. Randy Rail. Bob Pieringer, is it?
Pass.
Luke Stock. Nate Paffin, is it? Yes.
My name is Nathan Portine. I'm a public and private land hunter in Stearns County, all over the state. I would strongly oppose Stearns County to enact a shotgun-only zone. I hunt public land. It can be, to some, scary. I would feel more safe if the rifles were allowed, just because I feel like people would be less apt to take worse shots. Rifles are obviously more effective at distance and therefore more accurate and more ethical. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Justin Herberg and Shane Bartles.
Justin Herberg from Rockville. Thank you guys for letting us speak. Also, thank you everybody here. I'm not going to lie, I thought it was going to be an uphill battle in favor of rifle zones or opposing the slug zone. Pretty much everybody's in favor, but just a little bit more support in favor of the rifle. I always thought the law was dumb with current technology because that law was written 80 years ago with the slug zone. You have an AR-10 pistol with .308 out of 14.5 inch barrel versus 16-inch barrel. You're talking only 75 feet per second slower. It's the same thing basically. Not to mention slugs nowadays are going 2,000 feet per second out of a sabot rifle shotgun. That's borderline rifle territory. Cost of slugs are more expensive than rifle. And there's even muzzle loaders that use smokeless powder instead of traditional black powder that are 3,000 feet per second. And those have been, same thing with the pistols, excuse me, have been legal in the zone since day one that I'm aware of. So it's kind of, to me, a no-brainer to allow rifles to be used. Thank you.
Thank you. Shane Bartles, and then Clayton Atkinson.
Hi, I'm Shane Bartels from Eden Valley. I had the pleasure of reaching out to a few of you guys, sent you a nice big long email discussing some of the points beforehand. One of the points I wanted to just kind of touch on is there is a difference between effective range and maximum range. As point 4 in this email, effective range, or the maximum range of a shotgun can go 1,000 yards, which is half a mile. A 9mm can go anywhere from a mile and a half to 3 miles, maximum range. That's not effective range. I hear some people talking about instances with the rifles, penetrating people's houses, whatnot. That's already happening. That has nothing to do with our previous hunting, because we are not using rifles for hunting. That's people shooting targets or being stupid, and you're going to have stupid in anything that you deal with. Teachers, police, you name it. So that is unfortunate that happened. And as it was already pointed out, rifles are going to be aimed at a downward angle with the ground being a backstop, and their rounds are more fragile than shotgun slugs. I'd like to thank everybody here for coming and doing the research and sharing the facts, the statistics, the safety, and the history of where all this originated and what's becoming for this. And the hardest part about arguing something is to argue a point when you don't know what specific things the opposing side is focused on. You're hearing everyone for it. We're not knowing why the other side is not for it. So we're arguing one-sided here. That's the hardest part of any argument. So my question for you and my challenge for you is, what would be the reason not to approve this? The purpose, the benefit, or the reason to not approve this? And that is all.
Thank you. And then after Clayton Atkinson is Elijah King.
Hello everybody, my name is Clayton Atkinson, very grateful to be here. I'm a lifelong deer hunter. I'm coming from Paynesville, Minnesota, and originally from Central Texas. Hopefully nobody gets too upset at me for saying this, but I'm also a proud graduate of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I studied wildlife ecology. I am very opposed to this potential shotgun restriction. I found it really intriguing when I moved here that there were shotgun restrictions for hunting cervids. That's where I'm from, down in Texas, that's unheard of, and I frankly didn't realize anybody anywhere still used shotguns to hunt deer. And personally for me, that was a big barrier when I initially moved up here to get involved in deer hunting, something I've had a lifelong passion for. I didn't own a slug shotgun and was unfamiliar with using one. The cost of purchasing one was an issue as a broke college student, and I think was already mentioned. And it's limited effective range for hunting on public land in a territory that I'm also unfamiliar with. Outside of my personal experience, I'd like to ask everyone to take a look around the room tonight and look at the age demographic that is here. We're rapidly losing hunters every single day. State license sales have continued to drop year after year. There aren't as many people of the younger age, like I am here tonight, that are interested in hunting. And I believe that the use of rifles is a pretty effective means to keep younger folks interested in hunting, especially giving the growing rise in people who like to shoot rifles for sport at the range. And it's a pretty big deterrent for those that do that they can't use that same gun for the harvest of deer. I'll skip over some of the safety issues. I think all of those have been accounted for tonight. I mean, it's just simply fact that rifles are safer, than shotguns. And, this might also be controversial, but everybody likes having deer to hunt. But here, like nearly everywhere in the United States, there are simply too many deer. It's absolutely wrecking the ecosystem. I know it's not, widely acknowledged. It's not as talked about. But that was a big emphasis in a lot of things that I learned when taking a class entirely about white-tailed deer while I was there at university. It's preventing the reestablishment of critical tree species that are getting overbrowsed by deer. It's costing the farmers money, messing with crops. It's a significant expenditure from car wrecks, which is not only an individual expense, but it raises the insurance rates for every single person in this room with accidents going up from the overpopulation of deer. Rifles give hunters the ability to make clean, effective shots, and that's such an important piece of all of this, is knowing that your deer is going to expire quickly. There's no suffering there, which, is absolutely critical. There's nothing more frustrating and discouraging than seeing a wounded deer, and rifles significantly reduce that risk. From my own anecdotal evidence, I spent dozens of hours out on public land this past fall hunting, and I never once heard a single shot fired. It was always at least 2, most of the time 3, and that scared the crap out of me. Being in the woods, knowing that there's people just firing around. If you're firing willy-nilly and need to shoot 2-3 times rapid fire, you should not, that's clearly an issue, either the weapon itself or the hunter. I don't know which, but either way, it's pretty scary. Having that more accuracy is quicker, more humane kills, and it would reduce the waste of a community resource such as white-tailed deer. Additionally, as been mentioned before, passing an ordinance restricting to shotguns would only serve to cause chaos for sheriffs, DNR agents, and hunters themselves being confused about overlap of zones and things like that, potentially causing undue legal issues. For all these reasons, I'm ardently opposed to a slug ordinance here in Stearns County, and I hope that y'all apply science, reason, and side with a decision that gives hunters in Stearns County greater freedom in managing a community resource such as deer. Thanks.
Thank you. Elijah King, and then Herman Rarick.
Good evening. My name is Elijah King, and I'm from St. Cloud, and I'm here to ask that we allow rifles in Stearns County. As the gentleman before me touched on, wildlife management is very important. I believe that a shotgun zone is a poor deer management tool, as rifled shotgun technology has advanced so much. Population strategies such as antlerless permits, bag limits, protecting habitats, and containing the spread of serious diseases produce much better results. These are the top listed strategies in the DNR's current deer management plan, which is a 58-page document found on their website. This document, which was completed in 2018, does not even mention the topic of shotgun zones. All of these strategies need participation from the public. More options for hunters will lead to a better relationship with regulatory bodies. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Herman Rarick.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here. Tough decision, but I've been a hunter my whole life. I've hunted when I was 12 years old, and I got to start in a rifle season. I currently live in St. Augusta, so I do hunt because I have to use a shotgun in that area. I think shotguns are dangerous because a lot of shotguns don't have rifled barrels, and anybody can still go and get a shotgun and put a shotgun slug in that, and it's not like a rifle with accuracy. So I'm in favor of the rifle zone being brought down, and I hope you guys approve that. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that concludes our last speaker at the public hearing. Again, we appreciate, everybody's comments and, hanging in there and listening to everybody and being respectful. And like was stated earlier, at our April 21st board meeting, we'll be making the decision, on which way to go. So again, we appreciate everyone coming. We do have a few items left on our board, but I'll close the public hearing for now. So that'll be closed. And if people want to clear out a room, we can take a 5-minute break. That'll be downtown at the administration building. Meeting starts at 9 in the morning. All right, we're gonna call the meeting back to order. Our next item is Apex Clean Energy Bear Paw Wind Project. Mike, do we have anything prelude to this, or?
Not really. The representatives here from Apex to talk about the project. I think it's important to note that while we're glad they're here and going to present the project because it's a large project that's looking like it'll happen in Stearns County, we don't want to give the public the feeling that they are here because this board has anything regulatory that they can do about this. This is regulated by the state, but certainly the board wants to have a good explanation of the project and timelines and things like that, so we're happy you're here.
Yeah, maybe just introduce yourselves and we can go from there.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Drew Christensen, and I'm Senior Director of Public Engagement for Apex Clean Energy. I have with us Jake Sexton, who's the lead developer, project manager for this specific project, Bear Paw Wind. And we're both Minnesota-based, based out of our Apex's office in Lake Elmo, Minnesota. A little bit about Apex Clean Energy to start. It's founded in 2009, headquartered in Virginia. And like I said, we have our secondary office in Lake Elmo, Minnesota. It's a privately owned, veteran-led American company. Our CEO is very proud to talk about that he went to West Point and how these projects and American energy independence is a key part of America's national security strategy. We develop utility-scale wind, solar, and battery storage projects all across the country and helping power American energy independence. Apex develops the projects, builds the projects, and then owns and operates wind and solar projects all across the country. You can see a map that we have a lot of projects. And our projects that we've built so far represents over $12 billion of investment in rural America since we were founded in 2009. Here you can see a little bit about what we've been working on in Minnesota. We have several projects here in Minnesota. You can see Bear Paw Wind, as well as some projects, other projects in southwestern Minnesota, west central Minnesota, and then a project in eastern South Dakota that was sold to Xcel Energy. And I'll turn things over now to Jake for specifics about Bear Paw itself.
Yeah, thanks, Drew. So I'll do a really quick high level on the Bear Paw Wind Project. You can see the map. This is our fifth wind development in the state. It's the newest development. I'll get into our timeline in just a moment. I think if we can take one thing away from the presentation this evening is it's very early on. We'd love to stay in contact with you throughout the development process, answer any questions you have, but really preliminary at this stage too. So the project itself, the objective here is a 300 megawatt wind project. What that amounts to with today's technology, with today's turbines, is about 50 to 60 turbines spread across 30 to 40,000 acres or so. Again, I'll pull up a more detailed timeline in a couple of slides, but we're a long way off. We're looking at a 2031, 2032 operations date with construction the year before. So we have quite a bit of work to do before we reach that point as well. Why is this a good opportunity? Why Western Stearns County? What's the opportunity here? we need three things to develop any wind project. We need solid wind resource, which we know we have here. You have 39 operational turbines in the county. They've been there for about 10 years now. You can see a map of the wind resource throughout the state of Minnesota. Down in the southwest corner where the original projects were built, 25 years ago, Buffalo Ridge. As technology improves, basically efficiency is such that there are other areas that are suitable for wind energy as well. And then we also need transmission capacity. The objective for this project is to hook into the second circuit on the CapEx line that runs along 94 for a while. So you can see where our project area basically maps out. That red line, it's probably going to be tough to see, but that red line is the CapEx line. That northwestern corner is the basically Pope Todd line right there. Follows the western county boundary down, stays north of the river, and the third aspect of any project we need is basically interested landowners as well. So everything we do is voluntary, on voluntary agreement. So for the last year or so, we've been out meeting with landowners within our project area, explaining what does it mean to be part of a wind energy project. The next couple of years are going to look much the same. Throughout the next year or two, we're going to continue leasing land, working with landowners. We're going to begin a slew of studies, engineering, environmental, airspace, etc. Meet stakeholders, local governments, what we're doing tonight, other townships within our area. And then later on, we'll go to permitting. As Mike mentioned, this will go through the Public Utilities Commission. We basically turn in all the work, all the studies that we've done, ensure that we're in compliance across the board, and then with the target of construction in 2030, 2031, operations the year later. Recap of what we've done so far. We found a lot of interested landowners. We've been out meeting with folks. At present, we have about 20,000 acres under lease. That represents 65 or so individual families that we're working with so far, with more to come. And then kind of the next big milestone we have here is our MISO Q filing. If you're familiar with energy projects, you'll know MISO. That process itself takes at least 3 years or so for us to work through. We basically have an acreage minimum before we can even file our application. We've met that, so we'll work on that this spring, and that's a big milestone for the project. A couple things to know. This is not a landowner presentation, but as we're out talking to folks, high-level points, in addition to the acreage and turbine rents that we pay to our landowners, things to know about our lease. This is for wind rights only. This is not a solar project. We do not have rights to build a substation or a battery or anything like that. This is wind rights only under this lease. As I mentioned, everything's voluntary. Apex is on the hook for crop damage and tile impacts as well during construction, maintenance, etc. And then importantly, especially for local governments, decommissioning plan and financial security is taken care of through our permitting process with the state of Minnesota as well. And then just, we're back. Just a level on the kind of two aspects of rural economic development that a project like this represents. One is just direct lease payments to landowners, of course, right? So a project like this, we would expect year one to pay out over $6 million to participating landowners. And then those payments increase based on inflation every year. That would total about $275 million over 30-year project life. And then also local production taxes as well, which you guys are familiar with. You have a project in the county in addition to other solar projects too. So you're well familiar with that formula and whatnot. For a 300 megawatt project with our expected capacity, we expect to produce about $1.4 million in annual tax revenue, and then over the life of the project, over $40 million. 80-20 split, county townships, again, you guys are well aware of that. And then lots of construction jobs, as well as a full-time staff of operations technicians to maintain the site over the decades. And then I will turn it over to Drew, too, to highlight basically what we do with the community right now with our grant program.
Yeah, it's really important to us as a company, and it's a core value of all of us and our leadership in particular. that we're involved in the communities as we're developing the project, not just once the project's operational and we're making money, we're actually demonstrating our commitment and our investment up front before we're making any money. We're just spending money. And one of the ways we do that is through our community grant program. And we've given away several community grants so far. They're usually in the $1,000 to $5,000 vicinity. We've donated over $500,000 in community grants just in the state of Minnesota, and several $1 million in grants all across the country. And these community grants are, again, we give obviously more money once the projects are operating, and there's tax revenue as part of that. But this is upfront during the development because it's really important to us to demonstrate that we're a Main Street business. We want to be part of the community. We're not, trying here to come here and make a buck. We really want to be part of things. Yeah, and run through a few of our grant awardees so far. We've already doled out $15,000. You can see, you can read up on the screen, but would definitely encourage you folks or folks in the room or folks listening that know worthy organizations in our project area. We have an online grant application and love to support worthy local causes. All right.
Yeah, and with that, that's really what we have to share. Happy to take any questions you have. And like I said, the offer is always open for us to come back to, address something specific. If you want us to come back to another meeting or reach out to us offline as well, always happy to chat, but happy to answer questions from you if you have any. Commissioner Persky.
Yeah, do you guys do auctioneering? You talk so fast, I was just...
No, we're trying to give you a break after the hour 45 of public comment.
Yeah, you put a lot of information in a small package very quickly, but I do have a few questions, okay? Are we going to get another presentation, or is this it?
No, we would certainly, anticipate. We're happy to come back as frequently as you'd like. But this is, the kind of initial introduction to the project. These projects, like we talked about, take years. We would anticipate a continued dialogue, and certainly we'll be working closely with the county, in particular the highway engineer, on a road use agreement for construction. But again, that's years down the road.
Okay, but you are expecting the 50 to 60 turbines to be actually placed. Is that correct?
That's what we would anticipate, yes.
Okay, and then those turbines, are they going to be very similar to the existing ones that we see, or are there many new modifications? I know there's also jumbo turbines, what type are we talking about?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, technology's improved a lot in the last probably 15 years, 12 years at least, since those turbines were ordered. So from a visual standpoint, they're essentially the same, but the capacity has increased a lot. They will be taller with bigger blades, so about 50% taller or something like that. So there's a significant increase in height as well, but from a visual standpoint, they look the same, right? And the primary increases in technology have come from the generators themselves. So that project that's existing right now is 39 turbines at 2 megawatts apiece. Turbines that we're ordering right now are 6 megawatts or so, right? So for the same land footprint, you get 3 times the capacity. Yeah.
Okay. And right now, I think we're in Raymond and Getty. And do you know, are you expanding to any other townships? Do you know?
Meaning our project?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're in quite a few townships. If you saw that map, thanks. So our initial area of interest, that blue outline there.
Actually, and diagonally down.
Right, yeah, so that's about 100,000 acres. That project footprint will change and move over time, right? The end goal is something like 30 to 40,000 acres.
And where are you going to start? Do you have a plan where you're going to start?
Start leasing or start building?
Start building.
We don't, so that'll come during a site plan, 3 years from now or so, when we actually get all of our studies done, all of our data in, and put that together. It'll be one construction period, so we won't build 300 megawatts in multiple phases. It'll all happen at one time.
Okay. One last thing. Okay. And that was a good thing. I'd say I noticed that you had allocated some funding for Raymond Township for a playground. They appreciate that very much. So, yeah, we're happy to get that out there.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, of course.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I'm wondering about the benefit to the landowners. You talked about already having about 19,000 acres in a lease plan. Is that effective now, or do they have to wait till the windmill's built?
Yeah, so, without getting into, super specific commercial terms, they receive, small development rent payments as, really just their commitment to the project, and they've signed up. The real money comes when the project is constructed and is being operated. So that's what those numbers represent. Those are operations payments.
Okay, so you're going to go from 19,000 to somewhere between 30 and 40,000 acres. You talked about 6 million in the first year. I don't know what that number is going to be between 19 and 30, but if it were 19,000 at the start and the 6 million in return, that's about $316 an acre, something like that. Do you have something more specific that you could give us? And the reason I want to know this is because farming is hard, we know that, and there are people who are having difficulty sustaining it, and so there's great likelihood that they're going to want to participate in something like this, in a retirement situation, whatever it be. And I guess I'm concerned that we do it properly and everybody understands what they're getting into. And I'm not casting aspersions. I'm not suspicious about anything. I just want to better understand it. And then I have one other question after that.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm answering your question here. So you're right in that breakout. So we have basically a couple of different ways that we pay landowners. It's basically a three-pronged lease. We pay per acre, regardless of what infrastructure, if any, is on your property. We pay per megawatt of installed turbine. So turbine host will basically have that additional substantial kicker as a payment. And we also pay a residence payment for any occupied residence in the project that's participating as well. So the objective is to be a community-based lease. So anyone can participate. We had a landowner with 4 acres already join, right? And so it can be and is available to everyone in the project, regardless of land holdings. And the lease is, the objective is to tune it to the impact, if any, to your land, right? And then the good part here too is, as you mentioned, farming, right, is a turbine will take up ½ acre to an acre of ground, but the farming operation remains on the rest of the property as well, right? And so it's not a trade-off in the same sense that solar would be or something like that. So yeah, does that answer your question, or was there more in there?
Well, I think there's more in there, and it probably will be revealed over time. I've had some experience with county supervisors in Michigan where people were sort of at each other's throats about this kind of thing, to the point where public meetings needed to have police officers there. It bothers me a little bit that the PUC is going to deal with this, and as a county we have no authority here. I just am waiting for more information to be revealed, I guess. Let me ask you my other question. You said that you also did solar, but you're not doing any solar for this project. Is there anything happening in terms of businesses like yours getting together and talking about a statewide plan for energy that includes wind energy, solar, and nuclear energy, such that we could sort of look at this all together and make sure that the future needs are really satisfied? Or is every multi-million-dollar company like yours doing everything in a silo?
Yeah, so I'll let Drew ask kind of the state level or regional level planning and how that works a little bit too. But to your earlier comment too about, wait for more information to be revealed, it is our goal to be transparent. At the end of the day, we need a couple hundred participating landowners like this to make a project like this work. And so a lack of transparency is not conducive to that end result. So we have an office off Main Street in Sauk. We have office hours. We have business cards on the door. We come to meetings when so any information you have, we will share it with you. I think the unsatisfying part of development is there's a lot we just don't know yet. From a timing standpoint, from a layout standpoint, right? And so there's some information we just simply don't have, and we'll give you our best answer at that time. But yeah, please, as questions come up, please do reach out. It is our goal to be transparent.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as there's questions or anything you'd like to know, we're happy to share it with you. The other thing that I would say on kind of the statewide planning is that is kind of the jurisdiction of a couple of different entities. One is the Public Utilities Commission of the state of Minnesota, as well as MISO, the regional grid operator. I mean, they are responsible for making sure that the lights stay on and balancing the load and what the grid can take and those sorts of things. And that is really what primarily drives the location of these projects, is where there's available capacity on the existing or future built transmission system. And that's certainly why we're, Jake mentioned why we're in this specific location is, one, obviously there's good wind resource, so that's proven out by the existing project. You can see kind of the cutout south of Sauk Center in our area of interest. That's the existing wind project. We're there because of the good wind resource, but also the available transmission on the existing transmission line that is put there. And I will say there's been tremendous interest so far from landowners, and I think that's reflective of the experience that they've had with the existing project, that it's been a very positive experience. Some of them have wind turbines on other parcels they own within that project area, or they certainly know people who have hosted wind turbines, and it's been a really positive experience, and I think people are looking to continue that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Commissioner Persky.
Okay. Yeah, going off something that Commissioner Johnson mentioned, we're going to have very little control over this, and my understanding is that the state's going to allow this to happen. However, I'm concerned about environmental responsibility, and you touched just briefly about decommissioning. What is the lifespan of these towers, and then what is going to happen when you do decommission?
Yeah, very good question. So the lifespan is usually about 30 years. In some cases you'll see towers being replaced earlier because the technology has improved, so they'll put different blades on that are more efficient or those sorts of things. But we would expect the lifespan of these turbines to be about 30 years. And when they're decommissioned, there's a couple major components of a wind turbine. One obviously is the tower, which is really just steel, and that's going to be recycled. Steel's very valuable. The hub is steel, and then a lot of other metals inside, which are also very expensive and going to be highly profitable to recycle. And then there's the blades, which are some of the things that have received some publicity in the past as ending up in landfills or those sorts of things. And part of the reason for that is one, when there's a new industry, before there's available product to need to be recycled, there's not a profitable recycling industry because there's none of that product to recycle. So as the first generation of wind turbines, those blades started to be decommissioned. All of a sudden there's all these blades. What are we going to do with them? One, the blades that are being made today are being made differently in a way that they could be recycled into new wind turbine blades when they're done. In addition, the vast majority of the blades that are being decommissioned today are being ground up, used as road base, those sorts of things. They're not just being buried like you saw. There were some viral pictures of that sort of thing happening.
Yeah, and that would be my concern. And with that, when you do decommission, and the issue with the blades, I understand the blades experience a certain amount of fatigue over time, and then they can the blades just be replaced and maintain the tower and turbine?
Yeah, that's exactly right. The blades are, by the nature of the technology, quite light relative to their size, so that they can capture the wind. So there can certainly be situations where a blade, can break, or a blade can experience a, lightning strike or something like that. Obviously, towers are going to be hit by lightning, so they're engineered to be able to be hit by lightning. But it can, you can have blades fail. So that is certainly something that happens as part of the maintenance process. Is they'll replace just a blade on the turbine.
Okay. And one other thing, with the ones that presently exist, some of the neighbors, in that area aren't pleased with the flashing of the red lights. It's somewhat of a great distraction, a nuisance, may I say. Is there a technology perhaps that is improved that timely they will be turned on opposed to just continuously?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and fortunately there is. So there's new technology that is certainly costs more money to install as part of the project, but Apex in particular feels like it's part of being a good neighbor, and we've made the commitment that we're going to install the technology on all of our projects, and it's called aircraft detection lighting system. So what happens is, only when there's an aircraft in the vicinity of the wind farm and only below a certain height where you would actually, need the lights for safety. So we essentially install a radar system as part of the project, and the lights only turn on when there's an aircraft in the vicinity, which, as we all know, in rural America, most of the aircraft in these areas are flying during the day, not at night. They're crop dusters and those sorts of things. So it ends up being an unusual situation for the lights to turn on.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Commissioner Bertram?
Mr. Chairman, thank you for coming. I asked you to come, and I think Commissioner Notch did, to a meeting, not because you have to, but because this is going to generate at least people's interest, and certainly you can get their information and ask them the other questions that you want to ask them. But you've had several meetings in Greenville. You've been meeting with townships. Again, the PUC, I'm not impressed with the PUC for a lot of reasons. I pushed for them, XL Energy, to come to Stearns County Board meeting when they did the line transmissions, and I got them to one meeting, and they had several meetings in Kimball. They're just not real responsive, but I guess all we can do is have more faith in you as a company that you're going to do the right thing, and that a nice package of energy, I think, is what Commissioner Johnson said, nuclear. I was the only member that voted to lift the nuclear, to support the Sherburne County nuclear, lifting the ban on nuclear, to have a package. I don't think we need 115 solar farms in Stearns County, and we have them. So I've done what I can do to limit that. Are a couple of wind farms bad? A couple of solar farms, a nuclear option? No, I think a nice mix. You don't put all your eggs in one basket, but we haven't seen that here. So hopefully that'll change, but keep being transparent, keep being open, and all we can do is, again, walk beside you and hope that you do the right thing, and at least let you know what we'd like you to do, even though we can't enforce it.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, it's certainly our commitment to you to be available and to be transparent. I think you all have our phone number, and to the extent that folks have questions, we are certainly happy to answer those. And we as a company, and certainly speaking for myself, and all of the above energy strategy, wind is a key component of an all of the above energy strategy. It's a environment of people always ask me the question because I don't know if they're trying to trap me because I work for the wind company or what kind of energy we need, and I tell them we need more. We don't have enough energy in this country, and it's too expensive. And wind is a key part of making sure we have enough energy and that it remains affordable.
Thank you. Again, thank you for coming. As you stated, it's early in the project, so my guess is we're going to probably ask you to come back sometime in the next year or two and kind of give us an update where you're at and where the project is at.
Give me a heads up if there's a hunting hearing before I wear my camo.
Oh, okay. All
Or
right.
you'll come to the next meeting.
Or I'll be sick that day.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Okay. Okay. Up next, we got Public Works with our highway engineer. Chris, you probably have to grab the mic over there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's talk about something that everybody's in favor of, and that's road construction, right?
Tis the season.
Yeah. Well, in your packet, starting on page 220, I bring forward to the board a cooperative construction agreement with Minnesota Department of Transportation. This is for our road, or our road construction project at CSAH 32 and Trunk Highway 4, just north of Lake Henry. Anybody that's familiar with the area knows that that intersection has a severe skew angle, as us engineers call it. It's a dangerous intersection because of that angle. So the goal of the project is to realign our county highway so that the intersection is at a 90-degree angle, and it makes a safer stopping condition for those trying to make a decision to enter the trunk highway. So Stearns County received some federal HSIP, Highway Safety Improvement Program, dollars for this. We are doing some work in the state trunk highway right-of-way, and fortunately for us, the state has agreed to participate in some of the costs of that project. So that's essentially what this agreement before you is for, is establishing what MNDOT's going to pay for as part of the project. So in general terms, the project's we're estimating about $1 million total cost. MNDOT is committed, per this agreement, to about $270,000 of those costs. One of the things I want to direct your attention to in the agreement is what MNDOT refers to as a Schedule I. Basically, it's unit prices of individual bid items, and that's how they arrive at that $270,000 amount. The caveat to that is that will be adjusted based on actual bid prices when we open the bids. So if project costs come under, those numbers would be adjusted down. But likewise, our items would be adjusted down too, based on the actual contractor's bid amounts. Well, the other thing I'd like to point out too is in that Schedule I is MNDOT is committing to contribute to a little bit of the engineering costs, because obviously we have some engineering costs when it comes to designing the project and actually inspecting the construction work. So that Schedule I specifies a dollar amount, but the real key part is it's 8%. So 8% of the actual construction cost is what MNDOT's going to kick in towards our engineering costs. So with all that being said, it's my recommendation to the board to enter into this agreement with MNDOT. But if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those first.
Commissioner Johnson.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Bertram.
This is obviously, I don't know if you heard, there was a major accident this weekend there. This is between Lake Henry and Spring Hill. I've driven it thousands of times on my way to the farm. Severe accidents, deaths, severe injuries. This is a long time coming. Commissioner Notch and I both attended the public hearing when they had it at the fire hall, and people have been waiting for this. So thank you for shepherding this through. The only thing that we did have a meeting on, and that we will have to address, I think, as we move forward on highway projects, is that the watershed district is now demanding that we create holding ponds, which of course increase the cost of these projects $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. That's another issue for another day. However, this is the first project that I've seen that it got brought into. So we'll have to have that conversation at another time, I think. But thank you for shepherding this through.
Okay. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, well, thank you. I'll just keep the good news coming. The next item I have, starting in your packet on page 238, is another agreement with Minnesota Department of Transportation. This would be for what we call a Detour agreement. So MNDOT is planning a bridge reconstruction or replacement project on Trunk Highway 55 in Paynesville over the North Fork of the Crow River. So when that bridge is closed down, they intend to detour traffic off of Highway 55 using the interchange on Highway 23 and Veterans Drive and divert them onto the old Highway 23, which is now a County State Aid highway. So There's a formula that MNDOT uses to calculate based on their traffic volumes and a rate per mile, and multiply by the number of days they anticipate this detour be in place. So it's not a large amount, but the agreement comes to $743.34 that MNDOT is agreeing to pay us for the use of our road during their construction.
What are we gonna do with that?
Wow.
Yeah,
Took more paperwork than it's worth.
One of the things I've learned as a county engineer is that, so this agreement specifies a number of anticipated days. There's not a lot of flexibility in these kind of agreements with the rate per mile, and the miles are pretty set. We can look at a map and measure the miles. What we will do is we'll track the actual number of days that they use it as a detour. Sometimes, well, a lot of times that's a different amount than what we have in the agreement. And my experience has shown that when the days are longer than what they anticipated in the agreement, MNDOT agrees to pay multiplied by that increased number of days. So that's my goal as part of the highway department. We'll track the number of days it actually gets used as a detour route, and if it's more than what they said in the agreement, we'll request that additional amount. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'll move the agreement.
Thank you, Commissioner Bertram.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Persky. Any further discussion?
Well, I just,
Commissioner Persky.
I was at a MNDOT meeting, they were gonna round their numbers to the nearest 1,000. So I'm wondering if we can make that 1,000.
Round up, yeah, you're right. We would benefit from that.
Maybe request that.
Yeah.
Mr.
All
Chair,
right.
given the
Mr.
shortage
Clark.
of pennies, how do you even start dealing with thousands?
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, thank you. That's all I have for you today, unless there's any questions.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Okay, that brings us to the end of the agenda. The last item is usually at our board meetings is issues by commissioners. Commissioner Bertram, would you
Nothing.
like to start? Nothing? Thank you. Commissioner Persky.
Just real quickly, I was pleased with the crowd here we had, a very civilized crowd for the most part. Just a little bit disappointed, I think there was a little bit of intimidation that some folks maybe wanted to speak on the other side, but didn't get a chance to view their opinion, but otherwise I thought it went very well, so good job.
Commissioner Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to thank the people who came and spoke. Very thoughtful, well-reasoned. Lots of people did sign up. Some people decided to pass. We certainly have heard from a lot of folks that largely reflect what we heard tonight, but very impressive combination of people. And special thanks to the city of Melrose for letting us come and use this space.
Commissioner Johnson.
I agree about the crowd. I was really impressed with the fact that a good government doesn't work without participation, and people were here and willing to participate. And I think Joe's right about feeling a little uncomfortable if you were on the other side, but we have to take everyone's position into consideration, and I think that still happens. I appreciated the research that people did, how they articulated their thoughts. I think it's just a great example of participating and having impact on government. With that in mind, the year is already going quickly, and I'd just like to remind people that filing for all of these multiple elected positions in the state of Minnesota starts on May 19th. And I think the general public should think about that, and if anyone had any inclinations, they should consider the possibility of actually doing work in a different way.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I also would like to thank the city of Melrose for accommodating us at this facility. I mean, it was nice to have enough room for everybody, pretty much to sit down. I mean, there was a few standing, but it was very appreciative when it's a civil, when you get this many people, a lot of times, it can get a little chaotic, but so much appreciated. A couple of things coming up. April 23rd, we have the town officers meeting in Freeport, which usually most of us attend. And then April 27th, we're having a joint meeting with the Planning Commission, Board of Adjustment, and the County Board to go over different areas of our ordinances and stuff like that. So, with that being said, I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.